Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about going to the shopping at the comic book shop on a weekly basis for less than $20 a month. Okay, all right, so let's jump into it. So one, why am I going to talk about this today, right? Actually, I'll define exactly what I mean. So essentially, I'm not sure everyone knows this. Maybe some people do. By the way, if you are an avid comic book collector and buyer and you're currently buying, this would not be something you would use now, but there may be a day where you would use this. Okay, so, and also, if you are in that bracket, like avid comic book reader, avid comic book collector, this probably isn't going to be, you're going to know a lot of what's in here. Okay, so right now, I'm not sure everyone knows this, but comic books come out on Wednesdays, right? So that is a new release comic book day. Okay, so if you walk into the comic book shop at noon or 1 or 2 o'clock on very good comic book shops, even as early as 10 a.m., all the new comic books will be up and available to read that were released for that week. Okay, now I want to talk about comic book shopping at your friendly local your friendly local comic book shop on a weekly basis, all right? So I'm convinced that this should be a goal of everyone, really everyone, right? And the reason why is, one, I think you can do it for $20 a month or less, and I'm going to explain how. And two, I think friendly local comic book shops are really important, okay? Now, let's stop on that friendly local comic book shop in to begin with. Unfortunately, not every comic book shop is a friendly local comic book shop. Right? If you walk into a comic book shop and somebody's reading a comic and no one greets you or says hi, if you walk into a comic book shop and no one is talking about comic books, and you're really not made to feel welcome, or there is something that is done that makes you feel uncomfortable, you shouldn't continue to go to that comic book shop. And the reason why I'm saying this is this does happen. This used to happen a lot in the old days, but it does happen in small, independent bookshops and in small, independent comic book shops. There, just like any community, there are kind of dark corners of the community, places where not everyone is made to feel welcome at all times, right? Now, now if you walk in and there's a lot of, customers in the shop and you're not greeted because there's so much going on, there's something different than the place being busy than, if there's just somebody with their feet up reading a comic book and ignoring you while you're in the shop, right? If you see that, that's a bad sign, and that's a really good sign that that's not a friendly local comic book shop, okay? So you want to find a friendly local comic book shop, right? And if you have one, you should absolutely frequent it. And the reason why is, one, the comic book industry has really changed to where there really are absolutely comics for everyone, right? There are comics for virtually every single subculture in America now, and that are laser focused for those groups. If you like superhero comics, there's plenty. If you don't like superhero comics, there's lots of comic books that are not superhero titles. If you like fantasy, if you like sci-fi, excuse me. If you like science fiction, any of those things, right? Then you really should consider going to comic book shops, because they're really extensively. There's an extensive number of different types of comic book shops. So how do you shop at a comic book shop for $20 a month, right? So one thing I want to explain about friendly local comic book shops is you should shop at them with cash, period, okay? By the way, this is my method for shopping at a comic book shop for $20 or less. So here's a few rules for it. One, always shop with cash. So what I would suggest is you're going in on a Wednesday, right? Put a $5 bill in your pocket, period, okay? So you want to always walk in with $5 cash, okay, on your once weekly visit. And that could be on a Wednesday, or it could be any day of the week you want, but the Wednesday will trigger that there are new comics for you to go. So if you go on a Thursday and a Tuesday, that's not going to help you, right? You want to go on a Thursday, and then you want to go again next Thursday. Because you should not visit, if you want to shop at a friendly local comic book shop for $20 or less a month, don't go twice in the same week, okay? All right. So what you want to do is you want to have a $5 bill in your pocket, cash. It's important, okay? These are independents, and you are going to be making a small purchase from them, okay? And it's very important that you have cash because they don't want you to make a small purchase on a Visa card, okay? Or a debit card, right? And so that's important, like that you have that, because otherwise it's going to be an awkward conversation between you and the comic book shop owner, okay? And one of the things to shop at a comic book shop for $20 a month, it's not easy, but the rewards are high, and I think the rewards are high both to you, and the rewards are high to the comic book shop owner, okay? All right. So a few rules, all right? So basically, when you go in, all right, the first thing you do, just walk right up to the new comic book, the new comic book area. If you don't know where it is, ask. It's important, okay? All right? A lot of times it'll be like really in a different color. It'll be prominently displayed, but sometimes it won't. All right? Go up there, and you want to look for number ones in a series, not a mini series. Number ones in a series, okay? All right. So find a number one in a series. So a series that is starting on that week, okay? You can also find a number one in you can find a number one in a mini series, okay? But I want you to know, number ones in series, not mini series, okay? They have the possibility of going up very high in value, right? It's not a high probability, but it is definitely like if you got, if you got number one King of Thieves, right? Or, a whole bunch of different, different comic books, there's a chance they'll go up, right? Also, number ones in series, often, it's unlikely they'll go down, right? Especially on major titles, right? So, the other thing, you can get miniseries, but don't expect those to go up in value, right? And also, whenever you're getting comic books, if you want to buy them for them to go up in value, they have to be boarded and backed, right? And on your $20, you can absolutely do this with $20 of spending, and you can look for nice collectible comic books that will appreciate in value. But you need to understand that, you're hoping they will appreciate in value. Comic books are not a sound way to invest, right? Just be aware of that, okay? All right. So you want to find look inside the comic book. Make sure that you like the art style, okay? If you don't like an art style on a comic book, I don't care what it is. In my opinion, you shouldn't buy it. You really shouldn't. And the reason why is comics are a visual medium, and if you don't like the artist, it doesn't matter who's writing it, in my opinion. You should like the art and the writing, okay? So start on a comic book series, right? And then you can collect that comic book series until the first arc is done. Arcs in comic book stories come in usually 5 or 6 issues, and often it will tell you inside the comic book that it is a new start of an arc, okay? Now, when you get a comic book, most comic books run monthly, okay? And so when you buy one this week, you won't see it again for 4 weeks, okay? So what do you do in those interim? So when you buy your comic book, if you're lucky, you got it for $2.99. Most likely, you got it for $3.99. Okay, and so you shouldn't go over $3.99 for the $4.99s. You should just keep those on the shelves. It's not part of your budget, right? So get a $3.99 comic book, and then you're going to be collecting that until the arc or until the miniseries is done. Okay. Now, when you're doing this for the first time, even if you start reading this and you don't like it, right, and it's 6 comics, I would suggest you finish it, right, because you're going to be buying that thing for 6 months, right, and, just give it a chance, see it all the way through, and what you're doing is you're building a habit of going to the comic shop each week, and you are buying that comic and then bringing it home, right? Well, what's the $4 value for you for a comic that you don't like? Well, in my opinion, a trip to the comic book shop is actually worth $4, even if you walked out with nothing, right? You're going to see a lot of great comics that are on the actually on the shelves, there's, comic books really are awesome, and the comic book shop has a lot of energy. There's usually people talking about comic books. There's people who has a lot of wisdom about comic books. You're going to see a lot of cool products, all kinds of things. So it's just fun, right? And in my opinion, and you should be in the comic book, by the way, you should be in the comic shop for between 30 and 60 minutes, all right? Take your time and enjoy it. So you really shouldn't leave before half an hour's done, unless you're really uncomfortable or anything. Don't make yourself uncomfortable. And you shouldn't stay more than 60 minutes because you don't want to outstay your welcome, right? Then some people do that, right? So you should be in there 30 to 60 minutes. Now, what do you do on weeks where you have that $5 bill, but your comic book isn't out, okay? One, don't read more than one series at a time, okay? What you want to do is you want to go to the back issues, and you want to find an artist you like, and you can buy their comics from the back issue bins one at a time. So you can buy annuals, and you can buy, and you'll read these comics, but they won't be in series and they won't be in numbers, right? The other thing is sometimes you'll get lucky, right? And some comic shops will have dollar comics. They'll have 50-cent comics. Some stores even have quarter comics, okay? And that's great. Look through those bins, and on that week, you can actually buy $3 comics, right? And so the other thing is, if you can't find anything, right, just go up and say, do you have three individual bags and boards, right? And a lot of shops will have that, and they'll just give you 3 individual bags and boards, and you can keep these at home to put your comic books in when you go home, okay? And so that is how you can shop at your friendly local comic shop for $20 a month. Thank you.